We're back. Technical difficulties on the first day. Not too bad, right?
This is the era of technical difficulties, so
Right.
we are used to it.
Right. So we just finished up kind of talking about like UK ads that are being blocked from anything that has high in salt, fat, or sugar.
Yes.
So we don't know if that's going to work. Try to
be determined.
Yeah, change people's perceptions. The one subject I wanted to talk about today was there's a lot of rebranding going around on racially insensitive brands and things that have been around for a long time. Aunt Jemima's, Uncle Ben's, but
Land O'Lakes.
Land O'Lakes.
Yeah.
Which is a long time coming, right? I totally get it. Why I'm wondering why we hadn't done that in the first place.
Yeah.
But the other one that came around was in sports, so Washington Redskins football team, which I don't know why it's taken this long for them to do it. But I commend them for it. Like, I'm kind of upset that they didn't take the initiative themselves earlier, but now they kind of succumb to a lot of court of public opinion kind of thing. But I'm glad that they are doing it. So it's one of those things that I think that we need to be more inclusive as a society, more empathetic as a society, and there's a lot of things that can be really offensive to people. So. But I'm glad that they're doing it. But the one thing that I wanted to touch on is the trolls. So there's a bunch of trolls out there that once they came back to the new name, they didn't really get a mascot, right? They just called themselves the Washington Football Club, which is fine. At least they're making the strides.
Yeah,
man, you know what I mean?
So Washington Football Club is better than basically a slur.
Yeah, right.
But
there's a lot of teams in Europe that, they have some kind of mascot, the kind of thing. There's soccer clubs in Europe that, everybody calls like Liverpool the Reds, Manchester United the Red Devils, and they have those mascots. But people refer to them, most of the time as Liverpool or as Manchester or as United, right? So those mascots aren't as prevalent as they are here,
Yeah, that's a good point. The only American version I can think of is our Kansas City's professional soccer team is Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah.
And we got rid of the Wizards, which just grew out of that. But I remember that not causing really a lot of stir, and it's is this causing an issue because it's coming from a racial thing? I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that times are changing and people are becoming more inclusive, and we need to address, the social injustice pieces here and these very racial and offensive kinds of approaches for things in sports. So I'm happy that it's moving. I'm happy it's changing, and I'm happy that people are going to approach it. So all the trolls out there that are getting after Washington Football Club for not having a mascot, hey.
Stop that.
Yeah, at least give them props for making the change.
What are your thoughts on sort of obviously Redskins is the worst of the worst in terms of names. What about Chiefs, Blackhawks, Indians?
Yeah.
Do you think that's changing too, or should?
I don't know. There's a fine line there, right?
I agree.
So there's, to me, Indians maybe construed as kind of offensive or racial, but it's still descriptive, right? Christopher Columbus called Native Americans, he thought he was in India, so he named them Indians. So that is it's not accurate.
Right.
Is it necessarily offensive? I don't know. Is Blackhawk offensive? I don't know. I know Redskins is most definitely.
Right. It's starting there. That's a start for sure.
And Chiefs, I wouldn't think Kansas City Chiefs. To me, that is an offensive, but I'm not a Native American.
That's true.
So that's where you need to go to find that kind of thing out. So
I think with the names that are more Chiefs, Blackhawks, those kind of things, I think it's less about the name and more about white people shouldn't be going to Chiefs games in headdresses and banging on a drum. I think that's where the problem comes in there.
Or where it can get offensive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It can get, again, I don't know. I'd have to talk to some you have to talk to some Native Americans to see if they find that offensive.
Right.
You know? So I mean, but it's a good point. Where's the line, right? But there are some Redskins is the example.
Yeah.
We know exactly that that's across the line,
Absolutely.
right? And it has been for
Ever.
60, 80, however many years they've been in there. So I'm glad to see it changing. But from a branding standpoint, I know what they're trying to do. You know, you're trying to get behind a mascot. People are part of the community. They have typically some sort of they're connected to that mascot, right? Like, Colorado Rapids, they're talking about the river rapids, and
you identify with it, you connect with it, yeah.
So I get it. I get the why they try to do that, but I think that some of the new expansion clubs that are coming out, NHL, the Seattle Kraken that are coming out, Kraken is
just choose
mythology,
a name.
right? It's a cool, scary thing. So I think moving forward, obviously you're not going to see that anymore.
Definitely.
But I think a lot of teams are going to have a hard, long look about kind of what their mascots are and what they're representing, even though I think a lot of us have just become numb to it, right? You just don't necessarily think about it. But again, that's part of some of that privilege that we have, and we don't think about it because it doesn't affect us. Doesn't mean it's not affecting other people.
It's insane that I looked at that Land O'Lakes label for 24 years and honestly never really thought about it. And then the minute that it was discontinued, I was like, of course that should have been discontinued. I just had never sat down and been like, oh, that's wrong, you know? And it's like, why are we only now having those conversations?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point, but I'm glad we're having them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, for our first episode, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we got 50% done and then 50% done.
50% done, yeah. So anyway, thanks, Sophie, for taking the time for chatting. And thanks to our behind-the-scenes guy, Dylan, over there. Appreciate all the help. But we're going to try to do this every other Friday live on our YouTube channel, live on our website. Just to talk a little bit about branding, marketing, creative, things that are happening in the marketing world, in the branding world.
And maybe catching up on what we talked about the previous time.
Yeah. And hopefully at some point we can get enough of the audience to, we'll ask questions. We're more than happy to take them. And can do that in the future. But for now, for Adam, Sophie, Encite Live, coming to you from Rhino in downtown Denver. We'll see you next time.